know a great way, and I mean a great way, to wash out everything that you saw last Thursday. Great way. New helmets. Even a new one for the home team, which I'll explain in a moment. This is Double Shot of Steelers presented by FanDuel. I'm Dejan Kovacevic, soon to be joined by Chris Halleck, our beat writer at DK Pittsburgh Sports. We were both over at the Steelers availability today on the South Side, and you'll see some of the results of that and conversations that we had. But the first thing that stood out, for me anyway, was the helmet. They're going to wear these things. They're going to wear these gold things on Sunday night. So it's going to be, because I don't think the Packers have some alternate helmet. It's going to be just this sea of gold helmets. I don't even know if that sounds dangerous, right? Well, the Steelers were having real difficulty pulling these things over their heads. Like, some of them didn't even come close to fitting. Now, I don't know if that's just because they're brand new, they haven't been worn in, but my goodness, this was happening all over the room. So if you ask, like, hey, what's the mood over there? The mood is they can't fit their heads inside these helmets. There's a real vibe in there that said about how they just kind of need to move past this really awful loss in Cincinnati. And that vibe was predominantly, as you can imagine, on the defensive side. And they're human. I mean, you're supposed to win and lose as a team and everything, but you can also tell the offensive guys who had themselves a pretty good game. They walked around a little bit differently. They were a lot more eager to answer questions. Let's put it that way. The defensive guys, a lot of it sounded like, here, I'm actually going to share with you. This was my conversation today with Juan Thornhill. And I think you'll appreciate this, because I asked a lot of I talked to mostly secondary guys for a column that I'm writing for the DK Pittsburgh Sports app. And it all sounded a lot like this.
Juan Thornhill, Pittsburgh Steelers. Tell me what it's going to take for this defense to get back to where you were heading after doubling the Browns.
I mean, it's a weekly process. You can't always thrive off of the past week, or keep your head down on the past week. So one thing we got to do is just continue to get the details right, the small things. The small things is always the things that end up hurting us when we get out there and play. So we just got to correct those the small details.
And are we still talking about communications, or is it just like the other night? It was obviously everything. Not much to
literally. Just making tackles when you're supposed to make the tackle, knock the ball down when you're supposed to knock the ball down, small things like that. But usually, majority of the time, if it's, something that went wrong on the field, it's always going to be communication. Like, you can't sit there and say that, no team has communication issues. Like, if you watch every single football game, there's communication issues everywhere. It's either if the quarterback found it or if you don't. And the thing is, when we had, some miscommunications, Flacco found it. And that's most of the time when people are like point fakers, like they're not communicating well. We communicated pretty well. We just got to make the plays when it comes.
He's not new around here, but neither are you guys. When I think of this defense, the first thing I think of is secondary and the big names, and the guys who've been around, like yourself, who have made a reputation in this league. When you see 31st in pass defense, you're like,
oh, that's new to me. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even pay attention to stuff like
Sorry.
that. But I'm very surprised that we're 31st. It's crazy. But the thing is, it's a long season. What week is this? I don't even know what week it is right now, but it don't matter. We got week 7, so we still got a long season ahead of us. You could turn out around literally in 1 week. So it ain't nothing that we should really pay attention to. We just got to fix the details, like I said.
It's a long season. Came not just from Thornhill, what you heard there. It came to me from Darius Slay. It came to me from Chuck Clark. It came to me from Brandon Eccles. It came to me from everybody in that secondary that I could find. It's a long season. They were getting into what percentage of the season we're through and so forth. And I get that. I get that. It is. But you, as a football team, have to be the ones to turn that around, and to turn it around in such a way that the Cincinnati game becomes the outlier, as opposed to the reversion to the mean. Does that make sense? It did in my head. There is such a thing as a regression. You can just, you just have a big step backward. That happens. It's a long season, as they were all saying. But what you can't do is let it become the norm and then have everybody wondering, including, most importantly, the athletes themselves, if this is just what life looks like with this defense. How about Juan's reaction to my telling him they had the 31st ranked pass defense? I did not mean to break that news to him. That wasn't my intent. I thought that'd be something that would have come up. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Chris Halleck.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Welcome back to Double Shot of Steelers presented by FanDuel. He's Chris Halleck. I'm Dejan Kovacevic. We just came from a really happy place. Yeah. Both of us on the south side. That was a little rough, huh? It is finally the week after Cincinnati week. And I can say that it is time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl, and that would require a little bit of a reach on your part at this particular time, go ahead and lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, the FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials so that you can join in on all of the action. The latest FanDuel line, Chris, is the Steelers are favored, but just slightly.
Oh, no, they're definitely not.
Oh, I thought they were.
No, they are. They were 3-point underdogs last I looked.
3 at home.
3-point underdogs at home against a pretty good Packers team. I mean, the Packers have only lost one game, so
to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sitting. I'm allowed to be as incredulous as Juan Thornhill sounded when I told him that they had the 31st ranked pass defense.
3.5. Green Bay's favored by 3.5
points.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's what happens when you have a game like that, though, man.
Yep.
And the whole country watched it, and they set the betting line. There was nothing to distract anybody from last Thursday. It's just the National Football League.
And honestly, I think, when you talk about what Vegas pays attention to, quarterbacks do matter, and Jordan Love still is a respected quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is being respected by most people. And another number that matters, and this is on both sides of the ball, is yards per play. And when you look at what the Steelers are giving up in terms of yards per play, especially against the Bengals, like that's probably the reason why. Like it's going to be like Vegas is not going to just automatically believe that the Steelers defense is going to figure things out in 10 days before bringing Jordan Love and a Packers team that can put, can put some points on people. So, it's interesting, but it doesn't surprise me whatsoever. It really doesn't. Just because the defense did look that bad, and I'm telling you, I'm in the finishing touches right now of going through my chalk talk on the secondary, and my gosh, man, it was the worst tape of the year by far.
The secondary
by far.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be. I mean, when you're talking about close to 500 total yards of offense, Flacco himself had roughly 350 of that. Jamar Chase, 16 catches on 23 targets. That's the one I can't get past.
Yeah, and the fact that
he could have had 10 catches. It's the 23 targets. They felt good about throwing the football to him 23 times.
Well, and so that number can go one of two ways. Like I think I remember a game while watching the Jets tape last year in which Garrett Wilson had well more than 20 something targets. but you could tell that Rodgers was just determined to get him the ball one
different.
way or another. Yeah. It was different. This was, we are out coaching the word I can't say here on YouTube, out of the Steelers right now, and we're just going to keep feeding this guy because they keep leaving him open.
This is what everybody wants to hear today. I know it is. This is exactly what they came here for today. Say something that sounds insulting about the Steelers coaching staff.
It's not even just that. So I will say this, though. I do think, after watching the tape and knowing the caliber of players the Steelers have on defense, I do think it is more coaching and scheme than it is player execution. But when the performance is that bad, it is the players share some of the blame here. And my Chalk Talk will explain what I saw. I talked with a couple of players, one player in specific, about that 23rd target. Completely broke that play down for me, and I'm telling you, man, like, and that's the kind of stuff that tells me, like, okay, there's something going on with this.
Broke down being the appropriate terminology,
yeah, because
it was not just one person, and it was not just a scheme, and I'm not just talking about the 23rd and final target.
Yeah,
it's when something like that happens to you.
Sorry, I just read a comment saying that I'm afraid to criticize Tomlin after I just said everything that I just said, saying that it's mainly the coaching. And
this guy's trolling up and down the thread. He's one away from being out of here.
It's hilarious. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this is also what happened when people get mad at the football team, but you can't yell at the football team. Unless you have like a front row ticket or something to the game Sunday night. So you yell at the people that are available to yell at, and that's us. What was I saying? I actually had a point to make.
Sorry.
This guy jumped in.
Sorry.
It was a good point, too. Somebody needs to remind me wherever the heck I was here. But it was definitely more than just the players definitely share some of the blame here. It's not just the coaching, and it wasn't just that 23rd target that we're talking about. There were all kinds of issues across the board. And you talked with all these secondary guys today. Like, I'm curious I'm like, you guys, like everybody watching, like they look forward to DK's columns. I look forward to DK's columns too. I really do. But this is what ends up happening is you're going to look back at this, especially, and everybody should be mad about this game. I'm not making fun of anybody who's mad at this game, just this one weirdo. Whenever you're feeling like that, there's a natural tendency to want to narrow it down. And to say that it's everybody on one side of the football, that isn't enough. That isn't enough. They need to take it down to, well, it was this guy or that guy, or so-and-so is old and slow, or whatever. They just, this isn't it. This isn't it. This was just bad all around, Chris, on the defensive side.
Yep.
I don't know of anybody who would walk out of there and say, yeah, but I did my job.
Oh, no.
On the defensive side. So if you're looking for something like that here, you're not going to find it. I thought the offense played really well. I asked for 30 points. I got 31. I'm not about to complain there. But on the defensive side, I just can't imagine how much worse it could have gone. I just can't imagine how much worse it could have gone. Especially doubling on top of that, the running back. That's just out of all of this, it's not Jamar Chase that gets you. It's Chase Brown. Well, who the heck is he to be doing that to you? This was the NFL's lowest ranked back. The NFL's least rushing attack. And they just did whatever it is that they wanted, just like the season was a week or two old all over again. That's why I keep saying that it felt like more of a reversion to the mean than it did a momentary regression. Only they can address that, Chris. And, we can say, well, they'll never change what they do. They're stubborn or whatever, except that we saw them do that heading into Dublin. So you don't even have that comfort level to say, well, they're never gonna do this. They're never gonna do it. We don't know. We don't know what to think about this defense. We don't know what to expect from this defense. All we know is that when you line up their names, as you heard me say to Juan Thornhill there, and you put that next to 31st ranked in pass defense, something ain't lining up.
No, it's not. And I think again I think what Mike Tomlin needs to do or needed to do during the mini bye was take a good long look in the mirror and understand, listen, we got Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey to have these coverage people that could just man up against anybody. And even though it's the short week, and we could talk about the short week and the wonkiness of that and how Tomlin's never when a team pantses you the way that the Bengals did, you cannot go into the game the next time you play the Bengals and just say, you know what, that was some sort of one-off. We're going to keep just trusting Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr. to just line up and be, because if you do that and you get pantsed again, how do you number one, face the press and say with a straight face that you continue to trust in that, because they already showed you. And what you can learn from these things is, listen, maybe we can't just line up and play man as much as we can. Or maybe when we do man up, I have the right guys manning up on so on. And one example I'll give was whenever they got beat over the top by the way, I learned how to say his name, Kovacevic, number 80 for the Bengals. When he beat Darius Slay over the top, they were doubling both Chase and Higgins on both sides.
Both were doubled, and then Kovacevic went like this, up the middle.
Yeah.
And Slay had to chase him from behind because of his positioning on the line. So everything about it was bad. The worst part of it is that you're taking Ramsey, your guy who should be in the one-on-one, as opposed to wasting him in the double coverage. Ramsey exactly should be the guy chasing that player. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. That's the part that I see a lot of people saying, why didn't they double cover Chase? And it's a fair point. Why didn't they double cover Jamar Chase? They did double cover him. Mm-hmm. Crazy figure here, Chris. None of his catches came when he was double covered. Yeah. Zero. He had zero catches when he was double covered. So if you wanted to take him all the way out of the game, you could have done that. Now, could you have been handing the game to T. Higgins and to Yoshiva? Sure you could. You could have. But that's the whole Bill Belichick thing.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to get beat by anybody on this team except Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. All the rest of you, come at me.
Yeah.
That's his approach.
Yeah, pretty much. And I was going to say the same thing, because it's like, if you believe Jalen Ramsey is your best corner, and Mike Tomlin has every reason to believe that.
Yeah, he is.
Then put Jalen Ramsey in the one-on-one coverage and put Darius Slay, and I think it was Chuck Clark who was over the top. Put those two guys on Jamar Chase. Darius Slay is still very, very capable of being able to execute a double coverage if he's just responsible for a certain leverage while the safety comes over the top. That's fine. All you really, really need is to have Joe Flacco hold on to the ball for 2.5 seconds instead of 2 seconds, or hold on to the ball for 3 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds. It's that extra half second, and then maybe it doesn't always turn into a sack, but maybe it turns into a pressure. Maybe it turns into a batted pass at the line. That's what the goal of the secondary is. It's not always about forcing incompletions. Sure, take those when you can get them, but it's also about literally, I mean, we talk, it happens all the time when you're watching a football game and you hear the commentator saying, oh, that was a great coverage sack. Like the pass rush got there because they shut everything down long enough on the back end. That's what it should also be about. And so it's deployment of players. It's the constant rotation. I talked with Patrick Queen about that today, about the constant rotation of players. And he said for himself, it's not a big deal, but he said he also understands like why it might be a problem for the guys who are constantly rotating. And I'm not talking about guys, because we talked about the rotation up front, and that is because that's about keeping guys fresh. But when you're talking about linebackers and secondary, like it's important for those guys to be in unison with each other and have that chemistry and be able to know where the other one's going all the time. It's a problem whenever Queen one down is, has Cole Holcomb on one side and Chuck Clark on the other, and then the next down has Peyton Wilson and, Deshaun Elliott on the other side. It's different when you're constantly talking about. Like I'm sorry, I can't get over 23rd target, but
there were so many different facets though that went wrong, and I think I'm going to say this again. We're going to purposely spread this all over the place because that's the way it worked. Wandering Warrior says, "Why weren't the DBs jamming the wide receivers off the line of scrimmage?" They just haven't been doing that. You haven't seen a whole lot of that from the Steelers this year. That's might be because of the low numbers back there, or at least low numbers in some games. I'm going to say it again. They were using 5 toward the end. They had lots of different looks. It's not that they weren't trying anything. They were trying it. It just didn't match up. And then, as some of them pointed out to me today, no matter what it was that we did, this guy right over here took it away. And that's where you have to remember that there are 2 teams out there and that Joe Flacco is not exactly new, as you heard me say to Thornhill.
Yeah.
There is credit to be had both ways. Believe me, they're singing in Cincinnati about the stuff that we're moaning about in the same capacity that everybody around here used to say it's just completely natural for Antonio Brown to have 15 or 16 catches in a game the way he did that one day in New Orleans. Well, the Saints weren't thinking that. So you got to remember that it goes out to it goes out to everybody in that sense here. I see another one here about quick slants.
Well, I was going to say something about that too, because when people talk about why didn't they press, well, there were times where they did press, but this is where Zach Taylor got the better of Mike Tomlin. The times that they would be pressing, you would see Joey Porter Jr. up on Jamar Chase or whoever else. The Bengals would be running trips to the one side, and Joey's right up in Chase's grill, but they're using those 2 inside receivers as a natural rub so that Chase could do this underneath thing while the other 2 receivers are going up forward. So it creates a natural pick so that Porter cannot get there in time. And that way Chase is then running wide open. So there's no chance to even jam the receiver at the line, because by the time he would be able to even get there to touch Chase, there's another receiver in his way, and that receiver's not doing anything illegal because he's not initiating contact. He's literally running his exact. That's just good coaching. That's good play design, and that's how you create space when you don't banjo coverage. And you just say, hey, I'm going to line my man up right in your grill. And there are ways to beat that. And Zach Taylor got the better of Tomlin in that way.
Yeah, this was a coaching checkmate for the Bengals. Yeah. And it was achieved in probably about the second quarter, being honest here. They found something that the Steelers either couldn't stop or wouldn't stop, depending on what schematics would be involved, what sort of changes, what sort of personnel that they'd had available or didn't have available. But they got checkmated, and they got checkmated early. And from that point onward, there was no stopping them. You barely saw Cincinnati's punter. It was just right down the field for the rest of the game. And when you look at who their personnel are, and oh God, and then none of that really explains the run. This is, William here says, I know we focus on the pass. What about stopping the run? They had wide open run lanes. And when I went and looked at these, as opposed to covering it live, we're not at a great angle at Paycor Stadium. We're kind of in this side corner, as opposed to where I love being in those end zones where you can see the running holes. Watching it on film, these plays develop, I'm seeing the same stuff. When you talk about regression here, I'm seeing Keanu Benton get cleared out of there like he's not even there. I'm seeing 2-man fronts repeatedly. I'm hesitant to say this because I know it's not the same thing. It's apples and oranges. But if your offensive line can't block and you see it as a solution to put Spencer Anderson out there for about a third of the snaps, and you have that 6-man line, sometimes with Darnell, the seven-man line, but on defense, you're sticking with the 2-man fronts almost relentlessly and not bringing people up, not going after. I know Joe Flacco was getting rid of the ball quickly. I saw the game too, and everybody keeps bringing that up. Yeah, he got rid of it quickly. You can still make him uncomfortable. They didn't come close to doing that. They didn't have him guessing. They didn't have him doing anything. I mean, he is human.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem that they had, because it's not like the Bengals were running the ball right out of the gate. It was as soon as the Bengals smelled blood in the water in the passing game and they realized that they started having their way, they literally used the pass to set up the run, because at that point, the Steelers are focusing all of their concentration on getting the bleeding to stop in the passing game. And that's whenever Zach Taylor's like, all right, we're going to throw the occasional changeup, or we're just going to call a good run scheme for whatever down and distance or for whatever front they might see. And that's that again. It was just brilliant coaching by Zach Taylor. You know, he gets a lot of hate for the Bengals situation, but Zach Taylor is a good coach. He's a good offensive mind. He got the job for a reason. And it's not surprising to see Zach Taylor coach a really good offensive game. And that's exactly what happened. He called a great game. He understood what the Steelers were going to be doing defensively, because it's not like the Steelers were just playing spot drop cover 3 all game long. The Steelers actually threw the kitchen sink at the Bengals when it came to the various coverages, whether it be man or zone or cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6. They threw everything at them, but it was like Zach Taylor knew what they were doing. It was crazy. It was crazy to see. And yeah, that includes using that pass to set up the run and take advantage of a vulnerable defense. Yeah.
You can say that they threw everything at them, but you can't say that they threw everything at them with a purpose or with logic.
No.
I want to make sure that's not misinterpreted.
Oh, 100%.
I know what you mean by that. Threw everything at them sounded like, boy, they were being super creative. No, they were flailing. They got checkmated.
It was
flailing for answers.
The best way that I could put it is, it's like for those of you who have like played Madden or college football online, and if you're playing somebody who is obviously better than you, this is literally just, well, cover 3 didn't work on that last play. Let me choose cover 4 now. Oh, cover 4 didn't work there. Let me choose cover 1 now. Oh, this didn't work. Let me choose a fire zone now. It's just literally like, crap, this isn't working. Let me just, yes. It's like, let me try something else. Let me try this instead. That's what it felt like. And that's what it looked like, because it didn't seem that there was any rhyme or reason. And then on top of that, player details weren't good. Player execution wasn't good. Again, it was just across the board. It was bad. It was the coaching. It was the execution.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Justin
bad.
Watson says you can't put 4 DTs out there. It's not 1986. I didn't say 4. I said 3. And what you see from the Steelers most of the time, in fact, this has been true for a handful of years now, is they go with the 2 down linemen up front. It's Cam and somebody else, and then they rotate people. Well, not all rotations are created equal. I understand it was a Thursday night game and that you had set up that you needed to rotate. However, let's first get to, since I mentioned rotation, let's first get to the Patrick Queen comments. Oh, we don't have that video yet? The Patrick Queen video? No? Okay, we don't have that. We don't have that in here yet. It's in multimedia. The rotation thing sounds great and everything, but Y.A. Black couldn't get onto the field hardly at all. So what are you doing? Or are you know what I'm saying? What are you hoping that happens there? You just hoping that whatever it was that got into him in Dublin was going to just carry over? Meaning, I'm sorry, Keanu Benton. I mean, you just figure out how to stop the run. Do that first. I understand. I agree with you, Chris, that the pass opened up the run. But I also can't get past watching these nobodies run for 100 yards. I just can't. There's no context in which that I look at that and say, oh, yeah, that's acceptable.
No, it's definitely not acceptable, because at least the one thing you should be able to take care of, especially with the Bengals offensive line and with who Chase Brown is, you should be able to not have to put a whole bunch of, you shouldn't have to go way out of your way and pull out every trick in the book in order to stop Chase Brown. You shouldn't. You should be able to just line up and just beat the guy across from you most of the time. That's what it should be. But I think that's one of the reasons why, again, the players share some of the blame here. This is not just a coaching issue. This is also players. And I think the one thing that we've seen in the 3 games the defenses have really struggled is it seems like once things start to spiral, there's no way to get it to stop. There's no way to, it's like as soon as the bleeding stops, they try to find some sort of tourniquet or something like that. And in the meantime, end up ripping the wound open about another 6 inches. And then it just more blood starts to flow.
And we talk about utilization here. We say that, we look at Nick Herbig, reduced snaps. Jorge wants to know if there was any news on that today. There's no coaches on Mondays. I'm sure it'll come up tomorrow with Tomlin.
And he won't take that question very well.
Who cares?
Oh, I know. It's a question that has to be asked because the week before, you almost completely evenly rotated your edge rushers and had 6 sacks. And then the next time you go out there, TJ and Alex dominate the snap count while Nick Herbig's standing on the sideline for 2/3 of the game. And you got 2 sacks and barely put the pressure on Joe Flacco. So it's a question that needs to be asked. But I'm just saying he does not like questions about sharing workload. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see what that answer is.
Yeah, it's not our job to worry about what it is that he wants
Not
to
at
or
all.
not wants to answer in any direction here. Lathon says to me, stop whining, DK. The defense has to be better. Simple as that. And Benson needs to be replaced. Are you watching this show? Did you just tune in 30 seconds ago? Wow.
I will say, though, of all the issues on the
Did I not
defensive
make
side-
both of those points exact? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
You did.
Everybody's in a bad mood today, and you're going to take it out on us, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I will say, of all the issues that I'm seeing, Keanu Benton to me is a little further down the list. He just is. I want to see better deployment I want to see less rotation of guys on the back end, in the secondary and at linebacker. If that means that you go into a game where Peyton Wilson's going to dominate, then go into a game where Peyton Wilson's going to dominate. I almost don't want to see an even split of Cole Holcomb and Peyton Wilson. I just don't. I think that both linebackers have their. I think they both can be good in each way possible, but interchanging these guys out all the time at linebacker and secondary, I think I think it's a problem that needs to be addressed, and the coaching staff needs to understand, especially while communication issues, easy for me to say, continue to linger as we're heading into late October.
Right. And
that's a big problem.
Here's Patrick Queen on that subject today.
When you talk about everybody honing in, how difficult is that whenever there's a lot of substitutions on the second and third levels, when, whether it's Peyton next year or Cole next year, or whether it's a different safety coming down, how is it harder to get into a rhythm when those pieces are constantly changing?
I don't think it should be as much as, the people may think it is. I feel for me it's just me getting a play call out, me going to play football, just trying to do my job at a high level, whatever it is. I think when you got pieces coming in and out, I think those pieces cannot get in the rhythm. And it's tough, you go in for 2 plays, you come out for 4 plays, or whatever. It's hard to get in the rhythm like that. So I think that could be a sense of it. But in a big, we've been playing the game a long time. We got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
I like how at first he said, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But then whenever he talks about the guys who are coming in for 2 plays and going out for 4 plays, and he said those guys cannot get into a rhythm, that's pretty much giving the answer right there.
Yeah, it is. It is here. Kerry says, DK, you mentioned recently about Mike Tomlin starting to carry himself with a level of cockiness that usually doesn't bode well for the team. Are we right in the middle of that now? Begging you, let the narratives go. Just for this 1 week. Not everything needs to be associated with some sort of intangible narrative. The defense was terrible. It was coached terribly. They played terribly. They adjusted terribly. Everything about it was terrible. It doesn't have to be attached to this so-and-so thing that we would be talking about for years. It's not all like that. It's just not. Not everything has to have that affixed to it. I would hope. I'm not going to say that our program is better than anybody else's or whatever else here, but I do like to think that we avoid that kind of stuff in favor of talking to actual football players and hearing what it is that they have to say, or learning things from the coaches, or or having our own views on it, but let's not just say, aha, here, this is Tomlin getting cocky on a Thursday night. Oh my God, the days of the week thing. I'm really glad that's behind us. Do they have another Thursday game this year?
The only other game there are only two other games that could possibly be played that's not on a Sunday. The Monday night game against the Dolphins on December 15th, and then the final game of the season against the Ravens at home, which will most likely be on a Sunday given the chances of it, but there's always the off chance it'll be on Saturday.
No more Thursdays.
No more Thursdays.
Great. That subject can die for another year. I mean, honestly, they got their rear ends kicked. Their defense got, in every way, shape, and form, smoked. That's all there was to it. You don't have to find something to affix to that. It was just awful.
Yeah.
Wizard of Boz says, I believe there's too much talent on this defense to perform like this weekly. I'm excited to see what the bounce back looks like. We can say optimism? That. Well, no, but we can say that. But then I brought this point up with Slay today, where I was like, you look at the names there, and he goes, oh, it's not just the names. He goes, I mean, those names are earned. There's people they've done stuff in this league. And he's tacitly including himself, obviously, because he's achieved a lot in the National Football League. Yeah. But to say that, they should just snap their fingers and it happens. No, you still have to have everything working together. Coaching needs to be a hell of a lot better. The players need to be a hell of a lot better. Everything does. It's got nothing to do with the days of the week, Donna. And Donna says, if everything was terrible, then that means the team can't learn a game plan by Thursday night. Really? Really? How about the offense putting up, 31 points?
31.
They didn't have any problems with Thursday. Did they? No. I mean, why are we even doing this? Why would you want to make excuses? Because that's all that is for that performance. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to let everybody who's responsible for that highly disgraceful performance in Cincinnati and say, yeah, but it was Thursdays and Tomlin always struggles on Thursdays? My God. All right. Changing subject here. The PEF, our friend, comes in and says, biggest worry on this defense is the same worry for the last however many years. If there's no splash, it's going to be a long night. Hey, TJ Watt brought that up out there in Cincinnati. He said, if we're giving up yardage, especially on the ground, if we can't stop it, and then we don't take the ball away, I forget his exact wording. It was a lot stronger than yours, though.
It was definitely stronger. Yeah.
Yeah. That it's going to be a long night. They haven't had a takeaway since Dublin. And they're made for that. That's what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, and that's what I had a conversation with a player a few weeks ago, and this is really kind of as the defense was beginning to kind of sort itself out. I think it was between weeks 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. But the way it was explained to me was I asked them, do you feel like that the defense is kind of all or nothing? And I kind of got this side eye like, and with that head nod, I'm like, oh God. It's one thing for me to think that. It's another thing for a player who's actually playing on that defense to think that. Now, granted, if you're providing splash, if you're sacking the quarterback and you're taking the ball away, you can torment the other team. I mean, if anything, there's nothing more demoralizing than for an opposing offense to march right down the field and then end up just giving the ball away to the other team. Because it's like, oh God, we had them right where we wanted them, and then we just gave it away gave it away, But yeah, if they're not taking the ball away, it's a problem because they aren't efficient in that regard.
No, they're not. They're going to give up yards the way they're constituted. Mike says that the Bengals also had a short week as well. Mike, that's because they spent the entire week walking like Egyptians. Chris doesn't get that. Look at Chris doesn't get that one at all.
Walk like an Egyptian? Are you kidding me?
Oh, you did get it? Okay. Man.
I was born in 87.
I've had a whole week of dated references because of the passing of Ace Frehley from Kiss. And I keep bringing up stuff like, and I was looking, what are you even talking about? Bengals. I don't know if he misspelled it or if he was trying to be cute. I really don't. Craig Brown says the lack of adjustments to that simple passing attack was astounding. Let's talk about that because that came up as well a lot in this chat earlier. You can place somebody in the middle of the field. You can do that. You can scarecrow somebody, just stick them on a stick in the middle of the field and say, if you're going to be slanting one direction or the other, you're going to be coming through me. And I'm not going to allow it. Didn't happen.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like whenever they play cover one, which is man coverage across the board, usually an extra rusher. There's no hole defender almost ever. There's never a linebacker staying in that hook zone. They don't run cover one robber that often, which means that you're showing two high safeties, but instead of them actually both dropping back, one of them goes high and then the other one comes down right there over the middle and literally robs that middle of the field. There's none of that. Or if it's very, very few and far between. And when you look at the way the corners are playing, a lot of the time they're playing with outside leverage, not just outside leverage, but also flip their hips to the inside. Like they're like it's like they're trying to wall from the outside, but there's nobody in the middle to help. And then when there's nobody in the middle to help and you have your hips flipped to the inside, if they do run an out route, you are then locked up against yourself because it takes a lot for a human being to turn 180 degrees around to go catch that guy who's already running full sprint the other way. So again, it's scheme, it's details, it's execution, it's everything. It's across the board. And when performances like that one happen, Thursday night or not, and I happen to think the Thursday night thing is more real than you do, and that's fine. But Thursday night or not, that's unacceptable. And it just shows the other 30 teams in the league all of your flaws. And you think Matt LaFleur is like licking his chops watching that film? Man, he is writing down everything that can beat what the Steelers do in cover 3 or in cover 1 or in cover, whatever it is.
Marcia violates every rule we've ever had here about common sense and good taste by saying that if you walk like an Egyptian, you need a chiropractor.
Oh my gosh. If there's one thing that DK hates, it is the pun jokes.
If you walk like an Egyptian, you need a chiropractor.
That's phenomenal. I love it.
I can't believe I put that on the screen. That's just not okay. Although Kerry says anyone who doesn't appreciate that joke is in denial.
That's good.
She's applauding over here.
That I'm gonna give it. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Justin Watson is also applauding.
I knew I liked you, Justin.
Kobe likes it. DJ here says that Susanna Hoffs ruined me as a child. I actually think I know what he means by that. But it's not something to be discussed on this program. By the way, Heldon notes that the one game that the Steelers won by scoring 30-plus points this season, they needed a 60-yard game-winning field goal. Nobody ever brought up the field goal thing except us in the car, did they, Chris? Like, nobody anywhere. At the end?
Oh, yeah.
Like, nobody brought that up. Like, you guys don't even know what we're talking about. But at the end of the game, what's close enough to where Boz trying some ridiculous record-breaking field goal is actually smarter than the Hail Mary or a higher percentage play?
I talked about this in the car. They had 7 seconds on the clock.
Yep.
The Bengals are going to be way, way back. Like, they're not going to let anything behind them. Why not try a 12 to 15-yard out to the sideline, which should take you no more than 6 seconds, get to the 50, maybe a couple yards shy of the 50, and let Boz try a 67, 68, 69-yarder.
Never know, man.
For it.
You never know. You ever know? You'll find a friendly wind gust or something up there. You just never know. And I think the odds of that versus now, look, in full credit here to Aaron Rodgers, he threw a pass that traveled 68.9 yards in the air. It was the longest pass attempt in the National Football League of any kind since 2017. So I'm not taking away from the quarterback or his arm. He's obviously got it.
And it's not like he hasn't won games like that in his career. He's won multiple games like that in his career. So I get Mike Tomlin knowing that he has that in the bag. But you're at the 40 when you when you threw it. Like, you'd like to get maybe another 10 yards closer so that Aaron can get a little bit more height on that ball. Because even with the way that he threw it, it was landing like near the front of the goal line. It was still amazing.
I mean, the part that goes wrong, though, too, is that the Rodgers out, which I believe was to Pat Freiermuth, only brought you like 4 or 5 yards, right? It didn't get you enough. Yeah, that was the real issue there. And I don't know whether that was a route thing. I don't know if that was just what Pat had available. You know, you can't force – if you've got coverage there, you still have to adjust to the coverage. You can't just run to a certain spot there. Or your worst-case scenario is going to be an incompletion. You need to get, and they did complete the pass to their credit, but it just wasn't enough yards. I just thought there was a possibility there that
I thought so too.
Yeah, that
I was saying it
on.
live.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, the touchback goes to the 35. I'm like, man, you get 15 yards on this out here. You could trot Boz out there to try a 67, 68-yard field goal.
Yeah, and
worth a shot.
Yeah, Sam says that every time the Steelers lose, the sky is falling. Fire everybody. Yeah. I mean, are you new, Sam, to this world? That's just how it is here.
I think the way that they lose is the issue, because even when they were winning, even that game against the Jets, this week. Well, first off, oh yeah, okay, well.
They're still trying Egyptian puns. It's not happening anymore.
I get it.
Oh, see, if I got to explain it to you, it's not funny.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, it wasn't funny to me in the first place anyway. It wasn't as good as Denial. Denial's the best one.
Denial was nice.
Denial was good. I still like
Chiropractor. Chiropractor is, yeah. You have to be quick. She's right. Yeah, you can't. This one came in like 7 minutes late. Like, it took him this long to come up with. I don't know.
My brain had already moved on.
The Red Sea is there somewhere. Let's come up with a Red Sea thing. We're going to end with a couple of football things related to the defense. Dubette says here, how in the world can't these guys be practicing press coverage? They have it all day. It's their jobs. Okay, we can talk about press coverage. We can talk about styles of coverage. What we have to talk about in that context, though, and you can't leave out of this, is who you'd be pressing. You don't think teams have tried pressing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for years? You don't think those guys have beaten that for years? This is the best receiving tandem in the NFL. There isn't another one that rates with them.
Oh, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is starting to look like one.
Yeah, just wait.
Oh, I know.
We'll count them up at the end.
It's been 7 weeks.
I'll take this one. I'll take Cincinnati's all day over that one for a bunch of reasons. I just don't. You have to. They tried a lot of different things. It just didn't work. But that's because everybody was bad. Everybody was bad on that side of the ball. It was one of the worst defensive performances I've covered in covering the Steelers.
That was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, don't make me offer the date reference on that. Ben says, how about you do something to try to stop the bleeding? Ben, they changed some things around, but I'm kind of with you on this one, because I look at the way this went, and I think to myself more than anything was, you could have used a Herbig splash. You could have used something that was a little bit different, something that was disrupting. You could have used Y.A. Black's big mitts there in the middle, to try to help guard against those slants. That just didn't happen. That didn't happen. It was just bad.
I think they tried to do something to stop the bleeding. The problem is that the decisions that they were making were bad. And we brought this up earlier. They decide to double both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Meanwhile, you're using your best corner. And I'd have to look at the tape to see on the other side, but I'm pretty sure Joey Porter was part of the double team on Higgins as well. I'm like, your two best corners, like in terms of being able to press and cover, are being used in double teams. Like, why? Like those are the type of the decision to double Jamar Chase is the right decision. It's how you're going about making that. Oh gosh.
Oh, they're so bad.
The
There's
jokes
so
are starting.
many, too.
I love punny jokes, but it is starting to get pretty. The Steelers got annihilated.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
No. Everyone needs to let it go. Last one for today. And this one's going to come from Mike because it's just a little bit of something on the offense says. So I just want to interrupt for a minute to say that I like what our offense was able to do, especially without Calvin Austin being able to play. I've got something to say about the offense myself, and that is that I thought Jaylen Warren ran his heart and soul out on that football field. I don't want to hear about whether or not he's an RB1. I don't want to hear whether or not I understand the Cincinnati defense is what it is, but I also understand that the Cincinnati offense was what it was. Okay. The difference is Jaylen went out there and just ran and ran and ran. I thought it was wonderful watching him. The rest of the offense did its job. It was balanced. Pat Freiermuth got back involved. I saw somebody else say something like, finally, Pat does something. That wasn't on him. He wasn't getting a ball. What do you want him to do? Throw his own passes? It's not like he was blowing opportunities. He wasn't getting them. The offense did what it needed to do. The offense did more than what it needed to do. And Jaylen was a big, big part of that, Chris.
Yeah, it was. And I wrote about that yesterday on our app. I looked at some of the things that the Steelers have to build on at this mini bye, but also the things that they need to fix. We've been over a lot of the things they need to fix today. But, yeah, things to build on. Jaylen Warren getting the ball more is absolutely something they need to figure out how to do. Obviously, you can't run him into the ground. You don't want him getting 25 to 30 touches a game. I get it. You want to keep him healthy. You want to keep him fresh.
Gainwell had more touches.
Yeah,
Gainwell finished with more touches because of all the times he was used to receive.
Right, and
nice game too. Nice game for Kenny. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about is that like you don't have to completely ignore Kenny Gainwell and Caleb Johnson in order to get the ball to Jaylen Warren more. But when Jaylen is doing the things that he's doing and he's really starting to hit his stride, and that kind of a performance, I don't care what defense you're going up against the next week. I'm giving Jaylen Warren the ball as much as I possibly can. And if that means somewhat less snaps for Kenny Gainwell, then so be it. I am trying to build off of that every way that I possibly can because we're also starting to see over the past 3 games what the run game is doing for the passing game because it is absolutely opening things up for the passing game. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've seen Aaron Rodgers at his best with the Steelers over the past 2 or 3 games because it's coincided with the run game. Aaron Rodgers is not in a position in his career to be a guy who's going to put the entire offense on his shoulders and carry it to where it needs to go. That's not who he is anymore. But he can absolutely, when he has a run game that can complement everything that he can still do in the passing game, he can absolutely make a difference. And this past Thursday was a perfect example of it because the Steelers were running the ball. They did great. And then Aaron looked like vintage Aaron on several plays. I mean, way more than I would ever expect in one game in terms of scrambling around and making throws off platform out of the pocket. Like that was vintage Rodgers. As I like kind of said, like there's going to be one game this year where Aaron looks like vintage Aaron. That might've been it. Like that might've been the game where we see the vintage Aaron and we might not see it again, but my gosh, like I have almost nothing to complain about on the offensive side of the ball. The offense is absolutely trending in the right direction, and it's good.
They were terrific, and Arthur within that was terrific as well. Yep. His game calling was, my goodness, how did he ever overcome having to coach on a Thursday? How did that ever happen? I'm going to put here on the screen my email address, but you can't go anywhere yet. because the worst of all the puns is awaiting you at the other end of this. And I mean, this is just like stomach churning. It's so bad. Download the app. Okay. Go get the app. It's the DK Pittsburgh Sports app on Apple and Android. That part is free. She doesn't want me to say this, but you won't like it. You won't. Okay. There's like all kinds of ads and stuff on it, whatever. Get the good version by emailing me. That's dk@dkpittsburghsports.com. You'll be very, very happy with what you get after that, because I will email you back massive discount on the app. Okay, you ready? I mean, this is really bad. Ben Goodson says, everyone thinks they know the answers. She's not even listening now. She's tuned out.
Oh, good stuff.
She's had it with this crappy show.
Good stuff.
Oh, no. Oh, no, wait. Now, you know the only thing worse than giving a bad pun joke? Laughing at your own pun joke. No, Ben, take it back. You can't do that. It's disgraceful. Or, as Anani Moose would say here, tut tut. Sign off, Chris. I'm done. Sign off.
Oh, DK's deserted us.
Jeez, what a terrible episode.